you're not alone. I want you to know you're not alone. One of the things that I always say when things get really, really hard is don't make a permanent decision on temporary circumstances. Because the one thing we know for true is that things are going to change, right? We have the moon cycles, we have the seasons, we have the daily weather. Just in a day, you're going to feel, I don't know, probably 90 different emotions, and you're going to have, I don't know how many thousands of thoughts. I don't know those numbers off the top of my head. Again, we did not script this, so we're just winging it here. But it's completely normal to ebb and flow and to feel one way, at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday, and then feel completely different at 11:30 a.m. on that same Tuesday. There's nothing wrong with you. But we want to be careful because in these moments when our nervous system is looking for relief and we're like, I just want the pain to stop, the suffering to stop, we will look for an opportunity to make a decision. And we'll try to make a permanent decision because, again, we feel like things are permanent. But you don't need to make decisions today. Welcome to the Be Your Own Life Coach podcast, where you master your mind and coach your own comeback. You are the hero, you are the guide, and you will learn to architect your life from the inside. I'm your host, Bretagne Stowe, joined by my sister and co-host, Annika Wilder. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Be Your Own Life Coach podcast. As you guys have noticed, I have not had my co-host with me. My sister Annika has a new home and is dealing with her business booming and it's a lot of things going on top of the family not feeling well. And so she has just taken some time off from the podcast. And I did a couple of episodes without her, and I had just talked to her before coming on. It's like, hey, can we make this work? Can we squeeze it in? And she was like, you know what? I'm sorry, I won't be able to make it. I was like, that's okay. No big deal. I'm living what I call the four agreements. Don't worry. We're going to do a whole episode on it. Now, I didn't name it the Four Agreements. It's a book called The Four Agreements, but it's just kept me in this really positive outlook. And I just feel like I have, I don't know, unlocked something in myself, at least for now. Right. Because, ask me in 30 days, I could be having a nervous breakdown and everything could set me off because that's life. Life is a roller coaster. And one of the things that I love to do is to plan for this roller coaster to allow myself the ability to prepare for anything that might come. And one of the things that I used to do to prepare for anything that might happen is I literally carried a bunch of crap with me. And I still, in my car, have more than I need. But I would carry a giant Mary Poppins bag because I felt like if I could plan and have an extra pair of socks and floss and a knife and glue and whatever else I might think I might need at my fingertips, then I will be okay. Then I can handle the unexpected and when life takes turns. But the truth is, you can't. You can't prepare. I'm sorry, guys. You can't carry a Mary Poppins bag full of stuff knowing what's going to happen because we don't know. We don't know. And, today I thought I was going to do a podcast episode on the four agreements with my sister. And so I didn't have anything else lined out. But I have noticed that in my need to be prepared, in my need to make sure everything is perfect and I have the right quotes and I've done the research, that I have allowed myself to maybe pull back a little bit on the vulnerability. I'm still authentic, but I've noticed that I like to show you exactly what's in this box, right? And it's a little scary to come on here and who knows what I'm going to say. And I've been watching these other YouTubers who go live. Now, it's not self-help or self-development or life coaching or becoming your best version of yourself. They're more like independent newscasters, but they all go live. and they go live, and anything goes when you're live. And yes, they're prepared and they're allowing themselves to present a show, and they have some things queued up, and they show, share their screen, and sometimes they have guests, but it's live. And I don't know that I'm quite ready to do a live YouTube show or a live, podcast episode. But I think what I am ready to do is allow myself to be vulnerable and just put myself out there in an unprepared episode. Now, the episode today that I would like to talk about without an outline, without a script, is what to do when you're having a bad day. I mean, a really bad day when everything seems to be going wrong. You didn't get a lot of sleep last night, and your kid was sick, and you wanted blueberries in your oatmeal, but then the blueberries went bad and they're moldy. And so you went to have, waffles, and the waffles were frostbitten, and the syrup was gone, and you don't have time to make eggs. And apparently, you didn't have any eggs left because you'd used them yesterday and forgot. And it's time to get in your car, but there's someone blocking your driveway. And as finally like get your car warmed up and it's time to go, you have a flat tire. I mean, literally, these days happen, right? Where it's one thing after another. And you're just like, come on. Can I get a break, please? What is going on? And I'll start to think, do I have some bad karma? Do I have something that is out of whack? Like, why is my life so hard? And then I've been reading the Four Agreements, and it's helping me just be present. It's helping me realize that even when everything is going wrong and you're having this, your nervous system is overloaded and you think it's the end of the world, it's not. It's not. I'm sorry. It is not the end of the world. Like, the world is going to go on, and you are going to go on. In fact, you're going to feel better in probably 24 hours. Just 24 hours, one day. And yet, in the moment, it feels like it's not going to go away. It feels like this is our life now. And apparently, this is not just me, right? Women as a whole have this idea of permanence. So when something happens, like they've gained a lot of weight, they think they're always going to be heavy. Or if they are making a lot of money, they're going to think, oh, great, this is my life now. I'm always going to make a lot of money. We have this idea of things being permanent. So when we're feeling like everything is going wrong and our husband doesn't understand us and our friends and our coworkers and whatever it might be, like it's falling apart, it feels like it's going to fall apart forever. And it's not, but it feels that way. And because it feels that way, we often feel like we need to make a decision. We need to get out of the situation. I need to, move. I need to quit my job. I need to leave my husband. I need to discipline my children more. I need to do this, and I need to do it now because you just need a break, right? You just need relief. And you even start to have some troubling thoughts. And I hesitate to bring this up because no one talks about this, right? And I am not a certified a therapist or psychologist, but I will say that I am a certified human. Okay. And I am a certified life coach, but I am a certified human. And I am tired of people feeling alone and feeling like they're the only ones who feel this way. So I'm going to be vulnerable and let you know that on those days where everything's going wrong, you've woken up late, your kids are sick, you have the flat tire, everything, run right after the other. And you just feel like no one understands and you just want it to stop. You just want it to go away. This is not suicidal ideation. This is my nervous system looking for relief. I just want it to stop. And in my mind, I would always picture getting in my car, my 2012 Subaru Forester, climbing in and just leaving, walking out of the classroom, walking out of the office, walking out of the pharmacy, or leaving my house or wherever the chaos was, wherever I finally had enough. I just would visualize myself walking to my car, getting in and driving. And not just driving anywhere, but driving to the edge of the world. So I would drive to a coast in my mind, and I was just going to drive from, Colorado or Utah or wherever I was all the way to California. Just going to go straight over to the coast and go as far as I can with my car. And once I get there with my car, I will get out. And if I don't feel better, I'm going to get on a boat. And then I'm going to go to that boat to the edge of the world, as far as it'll take me, as far away from my problems, not because I'm trying to run, but because I can't do anything else. I need it to stop. And I would have this urge to physically leave everything, my home, my significant other, my family, my job. And I've done it before. I'm going to be honest. I've done it before. I was in a really bad situation and I was enrolled in school. I was 20 and I was in an abusive relationship. Things were really toxic at home with my family. And I decided that I was just going to leave and get in my car and drive. But instead of driving to California, I was driving to the other coast, to North Carolina. And I thankfully only made it halfway and was convinced to turn around. But I've done it many, many times of when I just thought I couldn't take it anymore. I just need to leave. And we have other thoughts that also are a little dark. Like, as a new mom, I remember, hearing that these crazy stories of, moms wanting to put their babies in their microwave or in the oven or in the dryer. I mean, really weird. It's weird. And hopefully you don't do that, right? We want to keep our babies safe. And it isn't that they want to hurt their child. It's that their nervous system just needs it to stop. So maybe they're unable to console their child. Maybe they haven't been able to get sleep or they don't have enough help. And so they're just like, how can I make it stop? I've also heard of these, ideas of when things aren't going well in your marriage, imagining that your husband was no longer around. And I'm not talking divorce. That's right. I'm talking about people who aren't homicidal, who love their husband very much, but they just can't do it anymore. And in that moment, they're seeking relief. And so their imagination go, if something happened to my husband, then maybe I would feel better. I understand that this is an unpopular thought, and I am not saying or condoning hurting anyone, yourself or your significant other. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it is completely normal and human to want the suffering to stop, to have thoughts like that, like I just want to go away, or I just want him to go away. You would never, ever hurt yourself or another, your child or your husband. You would never just leave, but your nervous system is so overloaded. And I've heard about people using ChatGPT because they're so afraid to go to their significant other. They're so afraid to go to their friends, their sisters, their church, their group, and say, listen, I'm having these really twisted thoughts. And I just need to know that I'm not crazy and know that I don't actually want to do these horrible things, but I'm having these thoughts. I do feel like it becomes a little bit more normal with new moms. They're talking about it a little bit more. Other moms are saying, yes, feel this way. But what about the moms with kids that are a little bit older? Or what if they don't have any kids, but you've just gotten to this point? I know that we get so afraid to talk about things that are taboo. Like, I don't want to be judged. I don't want you to think of me differently or think of my significant other differently. Like, how awful is my marriage that I'm having these thoughts? And the truth is you should have people, not everyone, but you should have people that you can go to, that you can have these conversations with, that don't judge you. And you know the difference, because when you do divulge something super intimate and vulnerable, I feel like your nervous system reacts. So you will either be like, "Oh, I feel relief and I feel better," or you'll feel tight and go, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that." Right? Our body tells us. And so I encourage you to be mindful of the physical reactions, the physiological reactions that our body has, so that you know who you can go to in times of need. But again, like, you're not alone. I want you to know you're not alone. One of the things that I always say when things get really, really hard is don't make a permanent decision on temporary circumstances. Because the one thing we know for true is that things are going to change, right? We have the moon cycles, we have the seasons, we have the daily weather. Just in a day, you're going to feel, I don't know, probably 90 different emotions, and you're going to have, I don't know how many thousands of thoughts. I don't know those numbers off the top of my head. Again, we did not script this, so we're just winging it here. But it's completely normal to ebb and flow and to feel one way, at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday, and then feel completely different at 11:30 a.m. on that same Tuesday. There's nothing wrong with you. But we want to be careful, because in these moments when our nervous system is looking for relief and we're like, I just want the pain to stop, the suffering to stop, we will look for an opportunity to make a decision. And we'll try to make a permanent decision because, again, we feel like things are permanent. But you don't need to make decisions today. You need to do something a little different today. But you do not need to decide if you're going to quit your job, if you're going to leave your husband, or, one of these drastic things that we feel like we have to do. This is why women like cut off all their hair or dye it bright colors. Like, I got to do something. That's fine. You can do that. Your hair will grow back. But don't make a permanent decision, and don't feel like you have to make a big decision today. Just like things have slowly led up, one thing going wrong, the blueberries being moldy, not having syrup, having a flat tire, someone blocking your driveway, whatever it might be, these things start to stack up. It doesn't just happen right away. So why would you make a decision right away? The things that have made you want to make a decision have taken time to build up and lead up. So why wouldn't you have that same amount of time and intent when making a decision to deal with those circumstances? So don't make a permanent decision on temporary circumstances. You don't have to make a decision, but you do need to make a small change. Your nervous system is in fight or flight. You're freaking out, whether you realize it or not. So what can you do? We have to bring that nervous system down. And I know when I am struggling, I'll call my sister and I'll be, have my meltdown and I'll vent. And she's like, why don't you go work out? Why don't you do some yoga? Why don't you take a nap? Why don't you go on a walk? All the things I know that help, but it just pisses me off for some reason. Don't tell me what I know. I know these are the things I need to do, but these are the things that help. So don't let me tell you, but tell yourself, maybe take a bath, move your body, go on a walk, right? Change your physiology, change your life. So if in this moment, like yesterday, I was feeling stressed and overwhelmed and I had a headache and I was like, I was going to work out, but I don't want to ask my husband if I can go work out because I do. I have to ask permission now because I have a child. And I didn't want to ask because he was kind of in a grumpy mood. And I just sat on the couch and was like, well, I was going to work out, but I'm too tired and I'm irritable And I don't want to ask you because you're irritable. And my husband just turns over and he's like, you know, you'll feel better if you work out. I know. I know. And I did. I did a 15-minute walk and then I lifted weights for 30 minutes, not the heaviest, not the hardest. But not only did my headache decrease a little bit by the time I was done, I just felt better. I was less overwhelmed, I was less stressed, and I definitely was not about to make a decision that I was going to regret. I want you guys to know that it is completely normal to be feeling these things, going through these things, to forget that we had a meltdown a month ago and it felt good to call your sister and to go on a walk. It's normal. It's normal. We are human. We are spiritual beings having a human existence and we are figuring it out. But something else that I want to remind you that if you are going through a hard time in your relationship, that it is not all on the both of you. So we think, oh, it takes, two to tango, right? It takes two of you, but we need to focus on you and what you can control, right? So if you are trying to make some changes and your significant other is resistant, you make the changes. You can't make them make the changes, but you can make the changes, right? You can choose, back to my four agreements, and I promise we're going to do an episode on this, but you can choose what to take personally. You can choose the impact that you want to make. You can choose how to use your words or how you allow other words to impact you. You can choose not to make assumptions. You can choose not to withhold love. You can choose to forgive, even if your significant other, your partner, is not doing that. You have the power. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you have the power to notice that things are a way that you don't like, then you have the power to change them. And you have the power even if the other person doesn't want to change because you can only control yourself. It's the only thing you can control. So focus on what you can control yourself and allow yourself to make those small changes that you want to see, knowing that we are mirrors of each other and that you will slowly impact, influence maybe the other person. But you're not alone. We all have issues. We all have crazy thoughts, and you're not alone. And we don't say them out loud because there's this stigma and we're afraid we're going to get judged. But yeah, I just want you guys to know that you're not alone and that more episodes of this podcast, little scripted and better planned is coming. But I just wanted to give you guys something and make sure that you don't feel like you're crazy because you're not. It's life. It's life. And life can be a little crazy. So please remember that you are enough. Remember, your self-worth is innate. And don't put your self-esteem in anyone else's hands. You can't control anyone else, but you can focus on you. And if you have the power to notice that something needs to change, you have the power to change it. It's like a flight, not simulator, but when you're, mapping your course and you are, what is that phrase? If you're off by an inch, you're off by a mile, right? That goes back to mapping. So if you've miscalculated by an inch, then when you're actually living it and, driving or sailing or whatever, you can be off by a mile. It's because it doesn't take much to change your trajectory. It doesn't take much to change your projected outcome. And so I encourage you to focus on what you can control, the little changes, and even the tiny millimeter moves that you make will make a huge impact in your life, in the life of your significant other, and in the lives of others. But you got to focus on you. Okay. Jim Carrey, what did he say? He said that you can fail at something you hate. If you are spending all of your energy trying to people please, trying to be the perfect version of whatever you think that is, a wife, a mother, a coworker, a boss, and you are so focused on the optics instead of the authenticity, then when you fail, because you will, when you are inauthentic, you will fail. When you fail, you would have wasted all this energy and you didn't even get to be you. You didn't even get to live your purpose and be the version of you that you're meant to be. So instead of focusing on allowing yourself to fit in the mold of what they think you should be, they don't know. They're not an expert on you. Allow that to wipe away, allow that to dissolve, and give yourself space to be authentic. Because even then, I don't think this will happen, but even then, if you do push your spouse away, your coworkers, or things start to fall away, they're falling away because they are no longer in alignment with you. And you're finally living your truth. So allow those things to fall away. Allow those things to leave your life, right? If you've had friendships that have naturally dissolved or a job that didn't work out, it's not meant for you if you are living your truth. Think of what you attract when you're pretending to be someone, when you're pretending that, you want to be this version that someone's asked you to be, but it doesn't quite align. Everything feels a little off. It's a little bit square peg, round hole. But when you're your authentic self and you're just allowing yourself to be, then things will naturally attract and things will naturally separate and uh, retract and pull away. And those are the things that aren't in alignment. So, to me, it's a win-win to just be your authentic self. It's a win-win to let go these ideas that you have to be so dang perfect. And we got to start sharing that. Start letting people know that I'm not perfect. Hi, my name is Bretagne Stowe, and I am not perfect. Not even close. And relieve yourself of that pressure. Be curious. Be curious of who you are and where this world is going to take you, and allow yourself to just be. This has been another episode of the Be Your Own Life Coach podcast. If you found value in today's conversation, subscribe and share the love. And remember the teachings of Lao Tzu. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Until next time, trust yourself. Take the wisdom, take the breath, and take the next step.